this is your announcer, Smoking Dave, and you're listening to a man who once co-starred with Randy Watson as Joe the Policeman's partner in the What's Going Down episode of That's My Mama. It's the Kevin Friedman Show.
Hey now, it's Friday, August 17th, and another SportsGossip.com podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Kevin Friedman, along with my announcer, Smokin' Dave, and together we will bring you 10 of the hottest stories off the SportsGossip.com website. Dave, start us off with story number 1.
Hard Knocks producer calls Browns most serious training camp of the series.
Well, I've seen every episode of Hard Knocks ever made, and I think last week's episode was the best in the series' history. It started off with third-year wide receiver Corey Coleman showing off his shoe collection, and the guy may have more shoes than all the Kardashian sisters combined, and he seems to be proud of it. I mean, if I were him, I'd be embarrassed that I had that many shoes. I mean, does he have the matching dresses to go with them? Then he goes on to brag how he gives shoes to poor kids, which is probably a bunch of BS. He probably handed one of his size 15 shoes to some 10-year-old kid at training camp one day, and he considers that giving away shoes to poor kids. So anyways, after he's done showing off his shoe collection, they go right to him on the field, dropping a bunch of passes and getting yelled at by offensive coordinator Todd Haley. Then he decides to go into head coach Hugh Jackson's office and complain about how he's not starting, and ends the conversation with, "Why don't you trade me?" Which is exactly what they did right after. They traded him to Buffalo for a 7th round pick. And this guy was the 15th overall pick in the draft in 2016. He's only had 56 catches and 5 touchdowns in 2 seasons in the league, and he obviously wasn't living up to his potential, so Cleveland sent him to Buffalo for basically nothing, and now they face each other in the preseason this weekend. Should be interesting. You can watch this entire clip at sportsgossip.com, and it's definitely worth taking a look at. Another fantastic segment in Hard Knocks this week was a feature on backup tight end Devin Cajuste and his relationship with his dad. It is definitely a father-son relationship anybody would envy, and I'm definitely going to watch the Browns game this weekend, and I'll be rooting for Devin Cajuste. Anyways, Hard Knocks was fantastic this week, and if you have HBO, you should definitely check it out. Dave, what's next?
The Detroit Tigers show Aretha Franklin some R-E-S-P-E-C-T after her death.
Yes, sad news in the music world as the 76-year-old Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, passed away on Thursday morning at her Detroit home due to advanced pancreatic cancer. The Detroit Tigers responded to the news by giving her some R-E-S-P-E-C-T on their scoreboard. A picture of Franklin with the title of her legendary song were on display at the stadium. You can check out the picture at sportsgossip.com, and on the phone to discuss this is everybody's favorite Russian and the owner of Ivan Babushka's Dining Emporium, Ivan Babushka. What's up, Ivan?
Milosh, Kevin. It is very sad news that Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul, has passed away. I was a very big fan of hers, and I would like to pay tribute by singing my favorite Aretha Franklin song.
All right, go for it.
Looking out on morning rain, I am so excited, 'cause you make me feel like a natural, a woman.
Eeh, no offense, Ivan, but I think if Aretha heard that, she'd be turning over in her grave. But thanks for the call. Dave, what's next?
Denver Broncos vets give rookies awful haircuts.
Well, it's a Denver Broncos tradition for the vets to give rookies haircuts during training camp. I remember when Tim Tebow got the Friar Tuck haircut a couple of years ago. So they're up to it again this year, and you can go to sportsgossip.com to watch a bunch of videos of some Broncos rookies getting some of the worst looking haircuts you've ever seen. I think Raiders owner Mark Davis's ex-barber might have done a better job than these guys. Speaking of which, he's on the phone. Mark Davis's ex-barber, you're on the air.
You know what, Friedman? I saw those haircuts, and I think they look pretty great.
Yeah, well, considering you've been cutting Mark Davis's hair for 25 years, I'm not surprised.
Damn it, Friedman. I'm sick of your insults, and I'm sick of you messing with my livelihood. Now I gotta go. I got Weird Al Yankovic coming in for an appointment in a couple minutes.
Ugh, barbers like that guy make me thankful I'm bald. Dave, what's next?
Bench is clear in Atlanta after Ronald Acuna Jr. hit by a pitch intentionally.
Well, the Marlins and Braves played the final game of their 4-game set in Atlanta on Wednesday night, and Braves phenom Ronald Acuna came in on a historic hot streak. The 20-year-old had homered in 5 straight games, and he led off the last 3 games with a homer. The night before, he had hit 2 homers against the Marlins, and as a result, Marlins starting pitcher Jose Urena hit Acuna with the first pitch of the game, a 97-mile-per-hour fastball, which drilled him in the elbow. This caused both benches to clear, and you can watch the video at sportsgossip.com. No punches were thrown, just a bunch of pushing. Acuna tried to stay in the game but had to leave in the second inning, and Urena has now been suspended for 6 games, which he's appealing. He claims he didn't do it on purpose, which is total BS. And if he would have accepted his suspension, his next start would have come against the Braves, so the pitcher wisely decided to avoid making that start, because you know he's getting beamed if he does. Anyways, I'm wondering why Marlins manager Don Mattingly also didn't get fined or suspended, because I assume he told Urena to throw at him. Now, most people around baseball have been critical of Urena, but not everybody. Dave, give us that next story.
Keith Hernandez has a hot take on the Ronald Acuna Jr. hit by pitch.
Well, the former Mets star turned broadcaster decided to give his take on the Ronald Acuna Jr. beanball situation during the Mets broadcast, and he sided with the Marlins, saying, quote, "You gotta hit him. You gotta seriously knock him down if you're not gonna hit him." You can go to sportsgossip.com to watch the video yourself, but basically this comes down to old school baseball fans versus new school. I mean, Bob Gibson is one of the most celebrated pitchers in history of baseball, and if you looked at him wrong in the 60s, he would throw at your head, and nobody said a word about it, and it was totally acceptable. In fact, he was celebrated for it. But these days, you just can't get away with that. Personally, I understand throwing at a guy who's red hot and been killing you all series, but throwing a 97-mile-per-hour fastball at the top of his body is not acceptable. If you want to hit him, throw at his legs, or at least go below the belt. And Acuna was not wearing any padding, which this day and age is just stupid. I mean, not only does that padding prevent major injuries, it also gives you an advantage in the batter's box because getting hit won't hurt as much. Anyways, despite public criticism, Keith Hernandez has stood his ground and defended his statement. And again, it's simply old school baseball versus new school baseball. And as far as the Braves and Marlins, they play again in 6 days, and I'd have to imagine more beanballs are coming. So stay tuned. And that's 5 stories down. We got 5 to go, but we got to take a break, so we'll be back right after this.
Hey, this is Robert Gutenberger. You may know me as an extra from the movie Hard Bodies 2, or you may know me as the Gas Man. If you have terrible gas and you want someone to follow you around all day and take the blame for it, then I'm your Gas Man. I'll follow you to work. I'll follow you to church. I'll follow you anywhere. And when you release that horrible pungent gas, I will tell everyone in the vicinity that it was me. You can contact me at GutenbergerGasman@AOL.com.
And we're back. Dave, give us that next story.
John Elway says Colin Kaepernick turned down chance to join Broncos.
Well, Broncos president and GM John Elway spoke to the media the other day at camp, and when he was asked whether Colin Kaepernick would be seen as a viable candidate to fill a backup quarterback role, Elway said Colin had his chance to be here. We offered him a contract. he didn't take it. Now, as you know, Kaepernick has filed a grievance against the NFL, accusing owners of colluding against him, and Elway provided a deposition for the legal proceedings, where he said he had his chance to play for the Broncos, but what he fails to mention is that he made this trade offer with the 49ers in 2016 before the kneeling controversy. And if you ask me, this makes him look more guilty. He obviously liked Kaepernick as a quarterback, and their quarterback for the past 2 years, Trevor Siemian, has absolutely stunk and basically wasted a team with a Super Bowl defense and a bunch of great receivers. And if you're telling me Kaepernick isn't better than Trevor Siemian, then you don't watch football, because Trevor Siemian stinks. And Kaepernick was a free agent last year, and Elway probably could have got him for cheap. So the fact that he's using the excuse of Kaepernick didn't want to take a pay cut in 2016 before all this controversy started is a bunch of BS. And if anything, I think this strengthens Colin Kaepernick's case against the NFL. I see we have a caller on the line who wants to discuss this. It's one of our loyal sponsors and the owner of Antonio Finkelstein's prostitution app, Antonio Finkelstein.
Hey there, Kevin. As you know, I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but I gotta defend my guy John Elway on this one, 'cause John is a frequent customer to my prostitution app, so I got his back.
Antonio, as usual, are you sure John Elway wants the public to know that he's a frequent customer of your prostitution app?
Oh, well, forget I said that. Anyways, what I really called in for was to pay my respects to the Queen of Soul and sing you my favorite Aretha Franklin song.
Oh, this should be good. Go ahead.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, take care of me. Suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it.
Aretha, if you can hear this somehow in heaven, let me apologize right now. Dave, what's next?
Mike Evans faked Malcolm Butler out of his jock during one-on-one drills.
The Bucks and Titans are holding joint practices this week, and while there haven't been any reports of punches thrown, there have been reports of receiver Mike Evans burning corner Malcolm Butler. You can go to sportsgossip.com to watch the video of this, and I'm told we have a caller on the line who attended that practice and wants to discuss it. It's sports memorabilia expert, Big Dong. What's up, Donger?
Hello, long-time listener, no-time caller. I was at practice and watched Mike Evans fake Malcolm Butler out of his jockstrap. I went on field and picked up jockstrap, and I'll sell to you. You contact me, I'll give you good deal. It's a bigdong@yahoo.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Donger. I bet the emails are going to come in fast and furious for Malcolm Butler's jockstrap. Now, Dave, what's next?
Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are on the same page.
In his weekly interview on Sports Radio WEEI, Tom Brady discussed his current relationship with head coach Bill Belichick. He says they get along very well and they're both there to win, and he says he has the utmost confidence in him. The 41-year-old also mentioned that he would like to play beyond his contract, which expires at the end of next year. Now, even if Brady is upset with Belichick, he's not going to say it on the radio. He's not a dummy. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think Belichick wanted to trade Brady last year and keep Jimmy Garoppolo, and Robert Kraft wouldn't allow it, which led to Brady's trainer getting banned from the facility and definitely put a strain on Belichick and Brady's relationship. Now, they obviously respect each other, and neither one of them are dumb enough to trash each other in the media. But if you ask me if their relationship is as strong as it was, say, 5 years ago, I'd say no way. And I see we have a caller on the line who wants to discuss this. It's Tom Brady's personal stylist, Fran Dito. What's up, Franny?
You know what, Kevin Friedman? I'm sick and tired of everybody talking about Tom Brady's trainer getting banned from the facility when I got banned from the facility also. That Belichick won't let me in there anymore. He's a real jerk. But I didn't call in to talk about Brady and Belichick, Kevin Friedman. I called in to pay tribute to the Queen of Soul and sing you my favorite Aretha Franklin song.
Oh, this should be good. Go for it.
Each morning I wake up and I put on my makeup. I say a little prayer for you. Forever and ever
Ugh, I thought Ivan and Antonio were bad. Compared to Fran Dito, they sound like Frank Sinatra. Dave, what's next?
This one is a sportsgossip.com exclusive. Aaron Judge spotted on a dinner date with his ex-girlfriend Jen Flom.
Well, Judge is currently out of the Yankees lineup with a wrist injury, and that might explain why he's going back out on a date with his ex-girlfriend Jen Flom, as one of our sportsgossip.com tipsters caught the couple out, captured some photos, and wanted us to have the exclusive story. You can go to sportsgossip.com to check out the pictures, and for more about this date, Dave, give us that final story.
Man puts Aaron Judge on blast for being rude during dinner date with Jen Flom.
So while Aaron Judge and Jen Flom were on this date, which was at an Italian restaurant named Del Posto, some other guy who was on a date with his girlfriend saw Judge there, walked up to him and asked him for an autograph, which Judge denied, and this guy went on Twitter and started ripping Aaron Judge, posting pictures of him at dinner, and basically crying and complaining like a little baby because he didn't get an autograph. Now, first off, the fact that this grown man is asking another grown man for his autograph should be embarrassing enough, but he's doing it on a date, and he's interrupting another person's date. If I were Judge, not only would I not have signed, I would have asked for them to throw him out of the restaurant. I mean, what kind of guy abandons his date to go walk up to another man and ask him for his autograph? It's pathetic. This guy should be ashamed of himself, and instead, he lets the whole world know on Twitter. I mean, what a moron. You can check out the Twitter exchange at sportsgossip.com. I'm pretty sure you can find that guy's Twitter handle there. So if you want, you can send him a message yourself telling him what a schmo he is. And that'll do it for another sportsgossip.com podcast. I want to thank my announcer, Smokin' Dave. Thanks to everybody who called in. And of course, thank you for listening. As always, for these stories and much, much more, you can go to sportsgossip.com. Our next podcast is Tuesday. And until then, we'll see you next time.